Pacific weather. So, tips and tricks for the best weather, Southwest Pacific to New Zealand and Australia. Hands up for those that are in Australia and Fiji at the moment. Okay. How about Tonga? Couple. How about Vanuatu? Nobody from Vanuatu? Oh, well, a couple from Vanuatu. Excellent. Tibby, I see you there. How about New Caledonia? Okay. So, how many people looking to go to Australia at the end of the season? A few? Okay. How many are thinking of going to New Zealand? Ah, quite a few of you going to New Zealand. That's excellent news. Okay, that's where I'm based. I'm based in the Bay of Islands in New Zealand, which is basically your first port of call here into New Zealand. So, leading right on, a little bit about myself. John Martin's my name, and I run, along with my wife Lynn, coastal and offshore cruising. And part of coastal and offshore cruising is ocean tactics. Ocean tactics is all about weather and weather routing for the guys in the Pacific, Southeast Asia, and Indian Ocean. My passion for weather began in our very first offshore passage, which was in 1995 in our boat Windflower, and we got routed by a well-known New Zealand weather router who will remain nameless, and promised us a fabulous trip. Well, we had 4 days of 50 knots on the way up, and I said to him when we arrived in Tonga, Lynn and the kids fortunately flew up, that we need to do better if we're going to keep on doing this. Now, since then, we've done 150,000 nautical miles, and Lynn hasn't complained once with regards to weather. So that's a pretty good indictment there. So a bit more than that. We've also got other wings to our other feathers to our cap. One of those is cruising guides. We've done a number of cruising guides for the Southwest Pacific, including Tonga and Fiji, Pacific Crossing Planners, New Zealand's guide, and also the East Coast of Australia Passage Planner. Lots and lots of local knowledge. The expression that we're more than just a weather router has quite a bit to do with it. If you speak to any of the folks that we've been routing for this year, they'll know that my knowledge of boats and also of the positions, the countries around the Southwest Pacific particularly, gives me an advantage to assist them there too. We also ran the Island Cruising Association from 2006 to 2017. How many of you are with Vicky now with Island Cruising? Oh, good turnout. Excellent. She's doing a fabulous job. We're absolutely delighted, Lynn and I, with somebody that's taken it over doing so much good. Tremendous there. Okay, so this is a video that's embedded within uh, the presentation. It's 8 minutes long, so it explains how the systems work in the Southwest Pacific. Now, it's quite important that we know how the systems work in order to be able to plan our passages both to the west and also to the south, but more particularly to the south, where we have the transiting high pressure and low pressure systems moving from east to west to east through the Southern Ocean. So I'm going to run that for you now, and moving further west. In the Southwest Pacific, the weather systems migrate from west to east. Low follows high, follows low in a never-ending succession. Coming across the Pacific from French Polynesia, the trade winds blow southeast and east with the occasional hiccup to the north and northwest as a front or trough passes through. These troughs, unless you're being affected by the South Pacific Convergence Zone, are usually associated with the low pressure passing to the south. The strength of the trades is dictated by the center pressure of the high passing below and the latitude of its center. 1,020 pressure high will give 15 to 20 knot trades, where the high meets the intertropical low. As the center pressure increases, so do the winds along its top edge. This area of wind is the squash zone between the high pressure cell and the intertropical low, which is the general area of low pressure either side of the equator. The latitude of this squash zone is dictated by the latitude of the center of the high. For example, a high of 1030 with a center at 30 south will give us significant winds of 30 to 35 knots, from 15 south to 25 south, with the wind decreasing the further south you travel. The same high centered over the middle of New Zealand will have lower winds on its top edge, probably 20 to 25 knots, but spread over a larger belt. This high is also likely to have a larger area of little or no wind in its center. The high pressure center trends south as summer starts in New Zealand. As the high pressures migrate east, the direction of the winds change. In the trade wind belt, this variation is less pronounced, but as you travel further south and move away from the influence of the trade winds, the winds will then tend to follow the rotation of the systems, both highs and lows. Highs, of course, rotating in an anti-clockwise direction and lows clockwise in the southern hemisphere. As you travel further south, the effect and intensity of the frontal bands associated with each low are magnified. The majority of low-pressure cells during October and November migrate along under Australia and tend to pop up northeast in the Tasman Sea, then cross New Zealand and migrate to the east. All low-pressure cells will have a frontal band originating well north of the system and rotating around the eastern side of the low to its center. The closer to the low and the deeper the low center pressure will dictate how much punch it has. As the front moves through, the wind direction will change as much as 90 degrees, usually to the west and southwest with a disturbed flow following it. Rain is usually associated with the front, with clearing showers behind. The strength of the wind in this area is determined by the pressure gradient. There will also be large variations in wind strength around the rain cells. So to summarize, the more intense the high, the more wind you will get on its edge, and the punch from a frontal band is greater the closer you get to the low. We also know the wind direction around the high is going to change as the high moves through, and this is more pronounced the further south we are. Okay, so that's what normally happens. I don't know if anybody's been keeping an eye on the weather in the tropics this year, but we've certainly seen a lot of what I call tropical disturbances. Now, those tropical disturbances are what's normally in the summertime the cyclogenesis for cyclone generation. This year, we've seen a lot more activity in the tropics due to the temperature of the water in the tropics. So we'll just come here. So this winter is an unusual number of tropical disturbances, some very low pressures, systems in the area with a center pressure. So systems are also migrating faster. Okay, so the systems, particularly the highs, we want to watch the intensity of the highs. So the center pressure is very important. If you're looking at 1030, as we saw in the previous video, you're looking at fairly strong trade winds in the trade wind belt. We want to look for, if we're coming down to New Zealand, for example, we'd want to look for 1025 center pressure centered over the North Island of New Zealand, and that's going to give you nice benign conditions for the passage. Tropical disturbances are usually summer related, so we've seen a number this year. So the sea surface temperature anomalies chart is how we find out about that, where the warm patches are. So as you can see, back in 2023, that was the summer SSTA. So going back to 2025, you can see there's been quite a degree of change. There's no question about it. We're seeing a lot of warming in the waters of the ocean, and particularly now in August, the northern hemisphere, as you can see, has warmed up because it's now their summertime. But we're seeing in the northern hemisphere here temperature variations over the norm of upwards of 5 degrees. So it's no wonder they're getting some robust weather in particularly the United States. We are looking down in the Southern Ocean here. We're still looking at significantly warmer than normal temperatures, so we can expect a reasonably active cyclone season this year. So cyclones and tropical disturbances are one of the things that will affect both passages from the islands down to New Zealand and also from the islands across to Australia. The Coral Sea, as you can see over here, is upwards of 2 degrees warmer than normal or usual. Cyclogenesis in the Coral Sea and the disturbances in the Coral Sea are going to continue through the period right through until next year when the summer ends and the winter starts to fill in. For boats traveling to the west, that's one of the things we're going to have to watch very carefully for, and that's all part of the planning for your routing and your departures. So the usual is that we see high follows low follows high. Now we've seen a couple of instances in the last month of where we've had two highs together, separated not by a low, but by two center pressures separated. We've also seen some low pressures coming through undivided. How many of you, hands up if you are looking at the GMDSS forecast every morning? One of you, maybe two. Okay. So turn that on if you're using Predict Wind, turn that on, and you'll get an idea of what's happening more globally in things. Also, I'd suggest that you use the rain uh, forecast, and at the moment ECMWF is validating best. The rain forecast tells us where the isobars are. It tells us where the frontal bands are. It tells us where the rain are. Now, the rain is usually associated with the frontal band. So you can see the frontal band with associated thunderstorms up here, just to the west, east of Fiji, has a frontal band associated with the low pressure to the south. Now, that's in the Southern Ocean. That's a fairly large low pressure system, and we've seen a lot of those very large low pressure systems coming through this year. Moving on, an active atmosphere. So nature's trying to balance the heat in the atmosphere and the heat in the water. By doing so, she uses storms and systems to do that. And the more intense and the more strength that they have in them, the more rain, the more everything else, the more uh, the atmosphere balances out. Added to the chaos, it adds to the chaos in the atmosphere and also nature's way of shedding energy. We usually see system migration as low follows high follows low. So have a look at the following screen and see what you get. Pardon me for that, guys. Sorry. Excuse me a second. Pardon me. I should have done that earlier. Never mind. Okay. Okay, what can you see that's different? There's one of those low pressure systems that has two centers instead of just one. So there we go. Last week and an active atmosphere. System periods shorten. So we're seeing instead of the usual in the wintertime, the usual 5 to 6 day period between systems, we're now seeing 3 to 4 day system movement. So that shortens the length of time you've got to plan for an ocean passage. So getting down to New Zealand in 3 to 4 days, unless you've got something very special like a rocket ship. Okay. Somebody, if you could mute that, please. Okay. So, there's the usual format. High with a very deep center pressure, frontal band in the middle, and another high following behind. That's your usual. So that was what it was Saturday the 6th of September a couple of weeks ago. Now, first thing that these center pressures do, 1034 center pressure, you're going to get the squeeze zone in the tropics. You'll notice against up in the Coral Sea here, we're also seeing very strong 25 to 30 knot winds. You also need, when you're looking at the rain forecast, once you've looked at the rain forecast, look at the gust forecast because your rain is only really showing you what the average is going to be. You need to see whether the system is active or not active. And the way to see that is what the difference between the average wind speed and the gust is. If there's a big difference, then it's a very unstable flow. You're going to get some rolling winds going from, if it's very active, 15 to 18 knots average, 25 to 27 knots in the gusts. And the gusts are going to be very difficult to make your boat comfortable if there is a big variation in the wind strengths. Tuning for the high or for the low. If you tune for the high wind, you won't have enough power in the low. If you tune for the low wind, you won't have enough power in the high winds. So that's the first thing. Second thing is, so an active system, 2 points period between the systems. Have you enough time to get to your destination? Three, how active will the following system of the trough be? So the trough between the two systems, this one here, you can see that there's some red spots in there. Those red spots are likely to be individual cells. So individual cells quite likely have thunder and lightning, thunderstorms, squally conditions with big variations in the wind direction. As you can see here in this diagram, the frontal band also has a rotating low in the top of the frontal band, which will just accelerate the winds and make your passage from here down to New Zealand very uncomfortable. You'll also notice that with the the high pressure following, it's a very deep center pressure, 1032. So the winds on the front edge between the low pressure frontal band and the high pressure are going to be intense as well. You can see the average is there, 25 plus. So again, get your gust forecast out, and you'll see along this margin here where the frontal band is a deep acceleration in the winds as the winds change direction and bunch up. So you can expect probably 30 to 35 knot gusts on the back edge of that low pressure trough coming through. So these individual ones certainly are going to cause you some trouble. Generally speaking, these are an indication. They're not an absolute, they're just a forecast. They're not an absolute definite. If you want to see where they are, then look at your radar, because if you tune your radar to the rain, you'll see where the cells are and be able to avoid those. Just remember that thunderstorms are upwards of 60,000 feet in altitude. So they're being moved by the system, not necessarily by the wind. So if the system is moving from west to east, the thunderstorms will move from west to east as well, not in the direction of the wind, in this case, a northwesterly wind that you can see up here. Okay, so if you see something like this on the forecast, then watch out for something like this approaching you, because that's what you're going to be seeing in a very active frontal band. So the less active ones have no red in it. The steeper one over here with the darker blue will maybe have some accelerated winds within it, may have some changes in direction with it as well. And that's the sort of view that you're going to get from the ocean of a broken frontal band. So if I'm routing you and I say that the frontal band is broken or mild, that's the sort of situation you're going to see. And that's actually quite easy to maneuver yourself between the thunderheads, if there are any. What's the wave pattern associated with the various systems? Something that people don't take a lot of notice of before they actually leave in a passage, but it can make a huge difference to the comfort on the passage. Also, you want to look at not only the pattern, the height of the wave, but you also need to watch the period of the wave. So as you can see, that same system is pushing the high pressure system that was over here, centered over here, is pushing a significant wave up towards the tropics, and that will go right up to the root across from Fiji to anywhere on the east coast of Australia. So for your passages west, looking for the wave forecast, very important. A 4.3 meter wave at at 9.4 seconds is going to be ugly, particularly if you were coming down to New Zealand at that time. If you're coming forwards into it, then you're going to shorten the period yet again. So 4.3 meters is about a story and a half normally, perhaps even getting closer to 2 stories high. So in a building, coming at you every 7 or 8 seconds, that's going to be nasty. If it was 10, 11, or 12 seconds at 4.3, it's getting better and better. So the relationship between the length of the period of the swells and the wave height is very important. Okay, routing Tonga to New Zealand. How many coming from Tonga? Hands up. Okay, got a couple there. Fantastic. Okay, so Tonga has a couple of additional good things about it. Number one, it's 1,024 nautical miles direct from Tonga. You can leave from 3 different destinations in Tonga. You can leave from the Vava'u group, you can leave from the Hapai group, and you can leave from Tongatapu. Going from the Vava'u group, you're adding an extra day and a half onto the route, so that's going to be hard work to get a good picture. But if you're heading to Minerva, it's quite a good line from Vava'u or Pangai in the Hapai group down to the Minervas. Stage through the Minervas. How many Minervas are there, folks? One or two? Two. Yeah, thank you, Dan. Okay, so North Minerva is an enclosed lagoon, much better in any sort of blow. South Minerva is a figure of eight. The eastern lagoon is where you anchor. It is sloping from the reef itself is tilted from the front to the back. It's deeper at the back than it is at the front. So anything from the south or southeast or southwest, you're going to be okay in South Minerva. Anything from east through to northeast and to north, you want to avoid South Minerva. South Minerva is about 35 nautical miles closer to New Zealand, so it makes sense if you've got a day up your sleeve to transit from North Minerva down to South Minerva and leave from there. Again, remembering that the squeeze zone in the high pressure systems is between sort of 16 and 22 north. Sorry, south. The further south you go, like Minerva Reef, the less squeeze zone you're going to get from the wind on the top of the high. You can also leave from Minerva because of the angle to New Zealand a little bit earlier in the high pressure system when it first presents as a southeasterly. You can race over to a little place called John's Corner at 173 east, 30 south. We'll come to questions on all of that once we finish the session. Fiji to New Zealand. Now, Fiji doesn't have the ability to, very rarely would you have the ability to be able to get to Minerva from Fiji. It's basically upwind. Also, coming out of Fiji, in order to get the correct timing, you really need to leave not on the front end of the high, but a little bit closer to the middle. Otherwise, on the front end, you're going to be heading for Australia rather than for New Zealand. Also coming out of both Savu Savu and the Nandi side of Fiji, the western side, you generally speaking will get a squeeze zone up the southern coast of Viti Levu, and that can add 15 or 20 knots onto the forecast. That's generated by the rotation of the wind around the land. Be careful of that going out. It generally speaking dies off about 60 nautical miles for the south, particularly during the day. During the night, much less effect because it doesn't have the rotation or the land heating up. Coming out of Savu Savu, a little bit more difficult to get past Kandavu and some of the islands in the Coral Sea. My suggestion would be to leave from the western side of Fiji. So again, if your boat can't do down to New Zealand in the period of the high pressure flowing through, then probably best to leave it till the middle of the high. The other advantage of leaving it in the middle of the high is that you then get the ability to follow the back of the high around. at around about 30 south, take a benign frontal band. There's one happening right now coming through for the boats that are coming down from Fiji. They should see that on Thursday evening. Very mild. Go through the frontal band, southwesterly winds on the back of that, and your beam reaching or broad tight reaching into New Zealand from there. Okay, so there's that squeeze zone up the coast of Viti Levu. Routing from Vanuatu to New Zealand, it's hard work getting to New Zealand past New Caledonia as you come down. And if you are coming able to get past, you're probably on the wrong end of the high pressure system. So generally speaking, most people that are wanting to route from Vanuatu are probably going to do that to Australia rather than to New Zealand. And there are two ways you can go. If you're in the northern part of Vanuatu, then Luganville if you're in the southern Efate. So New Caledonia is a lot shorter. It's a lot further south, so we're not looking at the same squirt zone or squeeze zone that you're going to get from Fiji. You're unlikely to get to New Zealand in one system because in order to get the angle to sail to New Zealand rather than to Australia, you're going to need to wait until quite late in a high pressure system. The further the west, so the angles don't suit the system movement. However, Norfolk Island is in play as well. How many people have visited Norfolk Island? If you get the opportunity, it's a beautiful island. It's a little bit difficult from an anchoring point of view. It's roughly circular, so you do get the swells running around the island for making it quite uncomfortable at times. It does break up the trip, but if you are wanting to go there, if you're coming down to New Zealand from New Caledonia and want to stop at Norfolk Island, it is Australian territorial waters, so you will need to do your advance notice of arrival before you leave New Caledonia. Okay, routing to Australia. Normally, you would do that from either Vanuatu or New Caledonia. If you're leaving from Fiji, then Tonga or Fiji, then it's an awful long way. You're not going to be able to plan for a whole forecast period over a 2 week sail. So most people stop in Vanuatu or New Caledonia to head to the west. If it's Vanuatu, things to look out for is the center pressure and the latitude of the high to the south, troughs, fronts, depressions, tropical disturbances, etc., in the Coral Sea, and any later in the season cyclogenesis. So routing Vanuatu, departure from Vila or Luganville, things to look out for is Coral Sea squeeze from the Luganville, particularly Luganville departures. Also, if you're wanting to go to Bundaberg from Luganville, you're either going to have to run through the Chesterfield Reef, which can be a little daunting, or go over the top of it, which increases the angle to Bundaberg. Coral Sea squeeze is more evident in the Luganville transit. Hard bits Chesterfield. Again, center pressure of the and the latitude of the highest to the south. Troughs, fronts, disturbances. All of that is the same regardless of where you're going. And also late in the season into December, you're going to start seeing some northerlies and northwesterly winds as the northwest monsoon percolates in the tropics. Routing Newcastle to Australia, one of the easier passages. Things to look out for again, as we've said before. There's a number of banks and things in the way. Also, there's a lot of current, particularly as you get closer to the Australian coast with the East Australian current. Lots of hard bits. Again, everything that we're talking about before needs to be considered for the Australia departures as well. As you close the Australian coast, also look out for east coast lows. Look out for black fronts. They sweep up from Sydney very, very quickly and can be quite damaging. Again, with all of your routing, all of your passages, it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're doing it from Australia, New Zealand, whatever. It's all dependent on the sea state as well. So watch out for sea state analysis and take a look. If you've got professional subscription for Predict Wind, then look at the tables with regards to the wave periods, etc., because it'll give you the wave periods itemized for each of the different wave sets and also the swell sets as well. So, and you can get up to five of those in any one wave prediction. New Zealand or Oz, both destinations have their challenges, but more so perhaps for passages to New Zealand. There are two reasons to choose New Zealand. If you're looking to return to the tropics the following year, much easier than a trip from Australia, although we have managed to route a number of boats across from Australia as far as Fiji this year. Relatively good passages as well. So if you're looking to do that, also if you're looking to get major repairs and maintenance done, the same level of standard of people is the same in New Zealand and Australia. However, Australia is slightly more expensive. It's 10% more expensive as far as the exchange rate is concerned. You'll find that the trade rates are probably getting close to parity now, but New Zealand gives an added benefit of a further 15% off your cost because we don't charge the GST on your temporary import exemption. So all purchases for the boat, except for consumables, are GST free in New Zealand while you're here. Tips and tricks. Okay, here's my plug. Always use a weather router. A weather router is going to give you a far higher chance or far better chance of getting an acceptable or a good passage. Compare models and determine the your confidence level. If all of the forecasts are the same, then you can have a reasonably high confidence. I wouldn't look at more than four or perhaps five in the predict wind analysis, particularly if you're looking for the best forecast. The best forecast may not be the one that happens. If they're all divergent, then your confidence level in all of them is very low. So regularly validate your models. So use the Predict Wind validation tool. Predict Wind validates all of the observation posts. So pick an observation post and it'll tell you which of the various models is validating best. Turn on GMDSS forecasts. It's very important to know where the trough lines are, which way they're moving. Predict Wind has now animated those GMDSS forecasts so you can see out past the 24-hour period that they're generally speaking set for. Important for thunderstorms, important for very active fronts and troughs, and of course for cyclogenesis and cyclones in the Coral Sea. Also, joint forecast, JTWC, Joint Typhoon Forecast models from the US Navy can be viewed as well. Use the rainforest forecast to see isobars, rain, squalls, squeeze zones, etc. Always check your wave period, your wave forecast, and try and avoid a timetable. How many of you have got crew that you're taking back with you? Crew are one of the worst things for planning a passage because the crew has always got a timetable that they need to work to. So just be aware of that. And I've seen more boats damaged because of a timetable than any other single thing. End of year special. We've got a couple of end of year specials, 250 US if you want to route to on a single passage but stopping at Minerva or Norfolk. And an end of season one if you're going from as far west as Tonga or Fiji and wanting to go to Australia, then that's a one fee of 350 US. So that's about half price. Okay, so we'll open it up. This is on the back of the thing. You can text me if you want to, or email me, and I will give you a copy of a PDF copy of the PowerPoint, and the URL for that YouTube video is on there as well. You can look at that to your heart's content. So I'll open it up now to any questions, and thank you all for attending. So if you have a question, unmute your mic and away you go. I see a couple of people trying.
Could you give us some tips on doing validation to predict wind?
Yep. Okay. So on the left-hand menu bar, where the forecasts are, the wind, the et cetera, et cetera. At the bottom of that list, there's a validation tool. An observation post and click the validation tool, and away you go. Okay, so I've got somebody with a radio in the background. If you have a question, please ask it now. If you haven't got a question to ask, you mute your mic again, please. Dan, you had a question?
John,
Yeah, sorry. Who's this?
it's Todd. Just wondering what the coordinates are for John's Corner.
John's Corners 30 South, 173 East.
Hey, John,
Yeah.
if you are going Fiji to New Zealand and you're willing to do a lot of motoring, does it make sense to leave on the front edge of the high, or do you still think you should wait for the middle of the high?
Oh, that's an interesting question because generally speaking, you probably at the front of the high going to get be hard work getting out of Fiji. You're going to have to go well to the west anyway. We've done a couple of passages in our time where we've done that, but it's been a low center pressure high. So we've been able to get out of Fiji on the front of the high, bearing away a little bit, waiting for the center of the high to come through, and then motoring. Biggest problem with it is you may end up motoring for 4 or 5 or 6 days. But if that's your preference,
Thanks.
we can route you for it.
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Yep, welcome.
Hi, John. It's John Kortbeek.
Hi,
Thank
John.
you for the presentation. Just any specific tricks for timing of leaving Minerva Reef? I know you covered it a bit.
Yep, good question. Thank you, John. So Minerva Reef being a little bit further south gives you the opportunity of uh, going a little bit more west than perhaps you would need to if you were coming out of Tonga or Fiji. So you'll then very quickly you'll need to get south as well because you're likely, if that's the case, if you've left on the front of the high pressure system, you're likely to run into the center of the high. So it's a delicate balance. If you're able to motor for 3, 4, or 5 days, then I'd take that option. Either that or you sail well west before turning south. And if you do that, you then end up with a situation where you may end up not arriving before the frontal band. So a trip down from Minerva to New Zealand quite often involves a bit of motoring.
Thank you.
Welcome.
John, Tibby here.
Hi, Timmy.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for the presentation. We, as you know, are coming from Vanuatu and we'll try and get out to Tanna, Port Resolution,
All right. Yep.
to get a little bit south. From all our reading, it appears that what we're aiming for the other end is to catching the back of a high and the beginning of a low to get that westerly and northerly, take us down the last bit. Having headed fairly west to get some westing, roughly down to just east of Norfolk. One, I'll just be interested in your comment on that. And two, with the current frequency and periodicity of the high-low, when should we, what's the weather system you think we should be leaving Tanna with?
Okay, so
if what I've said is correct.
yep. Okay, so what you would do if you're heading to Tanna, have a look at the forecast today, and you'll see that the wind has gone well into the east, and if not a little bit northeast by the time you get down to Tanna. So that's the sort of timing that you'd be looking at to get down to Tanna. You may then end up being in Tanna on the front end of the high pressure system. So it would depend on a number of different factors as to whether we routed you a little bit further west. It would depend on whether we could go straight south on the high pressure as well. So if you left it a couple of days and got into a little bit more of an easterly wind, then you may very well be able to get down on one go. Remembering, of course, that Tanna is a lot closer to New Zealand than perhaps, or a little bit closer to New Zealand than perhaps Fiji is. So a little depends on how fast the systems are moving through. If they're moving through in a summer pattern, which is more towards the end of October leaving, then you would probably get down to New Zealand on one system if we did it right. If we couldn't do that, then we would probably aim to either stop at Norfolk Island or take a low pressure or a frontal band at or around Norfolk Island as well.
Yes. Okay. So do you agree that so if we did manage to get the front end of a high pressure and getting those easterlies, and we thought we could get down in one system, you'd go rum line, but if not, we would take in that westing that I talked about earlier
You probably wouldn't
to
be able to
go.
sail Rumline if you left on the front edge of the high. You'd be really, really hard on the wind to do that. Very
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
sure. Okay, which will take us a bit west. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
exactly.
you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Stardust.
Could you explain a little bit about how your weather routing service works?
So two parts to the weather routing service. First is departure planning. And a lot of that's got to do with the type of boat that you are, but also the parameters that you're happy to sail in. So some people have got a high threshold for pain. Some people have a very low threshold for pain. I'm routing a low threshold across to Australia at the moment, and they're having a lovely passage. So they've had to wait for it. But if you've got plenty of patience, then no problem with that at all. Again, generally speaking, your threshold for pain has to be a little bit higher if you're going to have crew with you, mainly because of the weather, but they also crew are like fish, they go off after a couple of days. That
Thank
answers
you.
the question.
Hi, John. Mia here.
Hi.
I have a question. Hi. Thank you for the presentation. I have a question regarding sailing from Fiji to New Zealand. We're looking for a weather window ASAP, but we've heard rumors, people saying that they feel that generally it's going to be later this year. Have you got any thoughts on that, please?
And we're starting to see an improvement in the systems over the last couple of weeks. We're now starting to see a more regular flow than we had through the winter time. The the only thing that could make a big difference is whether we see early cyclogenesis this year. Uh, so yeah, it's the period still hasn't extended. So you're looking at getting away straight away, are you?
Yeah, from the 22nd is when we'll be starting to look.
22nd of
And
this month?
yes, we've got
Right.
a fairly fast passage boat. So we've done New Zealand Sava in 6 days. We're hoping to get across in a week, but took your comments on board about leaving mid-high instead of at the beginning of a high. Over.
Okay, so which port are you leaving from in Fiji?
Denarau.
Dinero. Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, so are you presumably a catamaran?
No, we're a monohull,
Damn, got
44
that
foot.
wrong. Sorry, but that just six or 7 days is you must have a beauty.
Yes, yes, we did 6 days to Tonga this year as well. But
So do you
yeah,
mind if I ask
it's
what you are?
hasn't always been comfortable.
Fair enough. What type of boat have you got?
It's an X yacht, 44 foot.
Oh, lovely. Very nice. Okay. Okay, so very quick boat, but very light and very bouncy, I would imagine.
No, actually not. She's 10 tons, empty, 9.8, and it's got
Okay.
a steel core. So it's actually a very stiff boat.
Oh wow. Okay. Cool. Nice. Very nice. Okay. So I've delivered a one of the larger X yachts back from Fiji once, and it was a lovely boat to sail. It was I think a 56-foot boat. Lovely boat. I think they only build a couple of them. Anyway, so yes, if you leave in the front edge of it, you're going to be going well west, and there's no problem with going well west if you've got the speed to be able to do it. So it would be a matter of close routing to give you a list of aim points that you would then take to transit around the back of the high and come into New Zealand on the northwesterly winds just before the next frontal band.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
I had a question about November. Our crew arrives around the November 3rd through 5th. So the 6th of November is the earliest we could leave Tonga. I wonder to what extent we're pushing our luck with tropical storms.
Whew. Okay, so they haven't divulged yet what they think their forecasts are going to be for the for cyclogenesis this year. I'm picking it's going to be a reasonably active year, but it will probably most of them will probably be coral sea based. Now, coral sea based ones generally have a tendency to move more westerly rather than southerly and easterly. In saying that, a lot of the tropical disturbances that we've had have moved south and east. So getting into November, yeah, we're seeing generally last year, for example, we were seeing at least a week prior to the actual start of rotation of a low that turned into a cyclone, we were getting a week's notice of that. So the ones that we've been getting, the disturbances don't show up quite as clearly as the disturbances that cause the cyclones. So they're a little bit more active. They're a little bit easier to predict what's going to happen. So I would say that as long as your passage wasn't going to be longer than a week, we should be able to handle that.
Thank you. We're not an X yacht. We're two boats tied together with a bridge deck, but we're also fast. So it sounds like it could work.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, so with the two boats tied together, you're probably not going to go to windward quite as well as an X yacht will. So that will also affect what your aim points are.
Definitely not as well, but not as badly as most people think, I think.
Okay, so what is it?
We can still we're Outremer, so we have dagger boards.
Right. Yep. Cool. Yep. Loud and obnoxious though in a seaway.
I I guess I don't have much to compare it to.
Fair enough. No,
I wouldn't have said loud, but I would have said more comfortable than the other boats I've been on ocean passages on, but limited experience.
fair enough. No problem at all. Okay, anybody else with anything else?
John, Oliver Cross here. How are you going?
Hello, Oliver.
Yeah. As you know, we're looking to leave early October. From what you're saying, you're expecting the cycle to be 5 or 6 days, did you say, between highs now?
I would like to see 6 to 7, but I think probably 5 to 6 is what we're looking at. Yes.
Okay, so we ought to, fingers crossed, we ought to be able to do it in one cycle if we time it right.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, and leaving when at the center of the high over Fiji, is that what you were saying?
No, we'll have to leave a little bit closer to the front edge and go well to the west and come down, stay in the wind rather than motoring through.
Right.
Do a big curve through John's Corner down to New Zealand and that's the ideal scenario.
Okay. Okay. Well, fingers crossed we get a weather window early October.
Okay, we'll keep you in line.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks, Oliver.
Thanks.
Right. Anybody else? Well, I'd like to thank you all very much.
Hi, yeah, John.
Oh, sorry, one more.
Sorry.
Carry on.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it's David here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, got you loud and clear, David.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we're looking at coming across with a rally. Well, the question is, what's typically the number of? We're on a 42-foot monohull.
Yeah.
What's typically the number of days motoring you would expect? So how much fuel should we be anticipating to carry?
Okay, so again, tell me again where you're leaving from and going to.
Yeah, Fiji down to New Zealand.
Fiji to New Zealand. Okay, so you, depending on when you leave, depending on what our strategy is on that particular high, if you got a very benign high and you wanted to motor through the middle of it to get down to New Zealand on one system, then you'd want to be able to motor at 6 knots, number one, and number two, it would probably be 4 to 5 days worth of motoring.
Okay, that's a lot of fuel then.
That's a
So
lot of fuel, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, probably not an option then. So like typically, for like normal passage, if we carry enough for a couple of days, is that
Typical
a good?
passage. I mean, we've had passages where we've motored almost the whole way. Our boat was quite capable of motoring for 1,000 nautical miles. There's been occasions where we've motored just about the whole way to Fiji or back. There's also the occasions where we've sailed the entire way and not used a liter of diesel. So it's one of those questions that is very difficult to answer until we look at the system itself that you wanted to leave on.
Okay, all right, brilliant. Okay, thanks for that then.
Yeah, no worries at all.
Hey, John, quick question. This is Stig speaking. We're planning to sail from Minerva to New Zealand,
Yep.
and we're a relatively heavy, slow boat, and we're wondering if we can't make it in, let's say, one weather window, what would be the strategy to do it in two
Okay, so the strategy.
over a prolonged period of time, let's say?
Okay, so if you had ideal conditions, how long would it take you to get from Minerva to New Zealand, knowing that it's around about 800 nautical miles?
So we calculate with an average of 5 knots, but if we have to motor, we're slower.
Okay, so let's say an average of 110 to 125 nautical miles a day.
Let's say 110.
110. Okay, that's fine. Is that Anna, is it?
Yes.
Hi, Anna. Okay, so you would need to then my suggestion to you would be you would want to take a frontal band at around about 30 south, where it's relatively benign. The further south you get that you take the frontal bands, the more energy the frontal bands have. So you don't want to get messed up with those. But if you can get as far to the west as John's Corner, for example, then before the frontal band came through, then that would be about a 5 day passage for you from Minerva down to John's Corner, and then take the frontal band at that point and head down to New Zealand on the southwesterlies on the back of the neck on the front of the next high.
So just to reiterate, it's head
You've
from
got-
Minerva to John's Corner and then wait for the front to pass and then go down.
Well, you possibly, if we timed it right, you'd probably end up going straight attacking over at the right place and heading south on it. So
That'd be ideal.
Yeah, that would be cool.
yeah. So I'm not a great fan of people waiting around for something if we can, unless we're in a good harbor or a good anchorage. So we'd want to plan a little bit more closely where we were and what we're up to. What happens with the routing is that the routing changes from day to day depending on two things. Number one, the latest forecast. Make sure that we're always using the latest forecast when we're giving a route plan. And secondly, whether you've achieved what we said you were going to achieve the previous couple of days. So we don't. There's no harm in that. It's just that we then have to replan, and that might change the aim points that we're looking at as well, depending on how quickly the system comes through and how fast you've managed to get there. So there are a lot of things that happen, and it's very important that we do that on a daily basis.
Cheers, John. Thanks again for your thoughts and your presentation.
Thank you.
Okay, and I have it. Well,
Okay, Jennifer, is it?
Yes. I'm similar slow like Anna. We are now in
The
Vanuatu.
boat, we're talking about the boat?
Yes, the boat. We're averaging maybe 5.7, I would say, on most passages. So 120 miles on normal winds. If the winds are above 17 knots, we go 6 to 6.5. But we are now in Vanuatu. We plan to go to New Caledonia, as we have figured it's probably the better idea to go from New Caledonia. But I guess we will have two weather systems passing through before reaching New Zealand. So do you think it's an idea to like go to Norfolk and like drift into shelter in case there's like stronger winds coming? Does that work or?
Okay, so if you would do that, they would because you're inside territorial waters, you'd have had to have done your advance notice anyway. So you might as well stop and anchor. So there's four or
Okay.
five different anchorages depending on the weather that you can expect at Norfolk Islands. You certainly wouldn't want to hove to behind an island for a longer period of time than 6 or 12 hours. But yes, that Norfolk gives us the opportunity of being able to break the passage up.
Okay. So probably the best idea is even if we don't plan to go there to just do the notice of advance notice of arrival, and then we can still cancel it and then just go through in case
Right.
the weather develops well.
Yep,
And then
absolutely.
the second question would be, um, considering that the water looks like it's warmer already, do you think the cyclone season will already be starting earlier this year? Or like, is it best to already go like middle of October or even earlier? Or do you think it will be,
Okay,
yeah, I'm just
so
wondering when is
so
the
we want
best
to
time? I mean,
we want to miss out. We want to start a little bit after the end of this month, a little bit further into October because October is the equinox, and New Zealand gets what we call equinoxical gales for about the first week of October, quite often. So generally speaking, if you wanted to be a little bit more sure that you weren't going to see a cyclone, then a mid to late October departure is what you'd want to look for.
okay, thank you.
Welcome.
John, one more question from
Hi,
Tilly,
Debbie.
if that's all right.
You realize you
Hi.
only get three a day.
Yeah, that's just my second and probably last. I'm interested. A lot of us probably have predict wind, and we've only discovered it in the last few months, and just on passage, etc., have used it and altered things on a daily basis or confirmed what we were thinking. I'm interested to know what you feel your what additional stuff do you add, and this to passage planning, etc. What are the downfalls of predict wind
No
versus
no downfalls with regards to predict wind. Depends. Are you on the professional level or are you on the standard?
I'm on the standard.
Okay, so there's quite a bit extra that you could get if you wanted to on the standard. That's what on the sorry the professional. That's what I'm using as a professional. So we've also got
Right.
access here to a lot more information. So we're looking at all sorts of different aspects. My first hour in the morning is doing a real plan of what's actually happening in the Southwest Pacific, so that we know what the system movements are like, what's generally happening. We're looking at observations around the place, so it can get quite complicated.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, no problem.
John,
Bill, go.
yeah, John. Oliver here again.
Oh, Oliver again. Sorry.
Yeah. Picking up on your last point from a couple of people ago, saying that at the beginning of October you end up with nasty weather in New Zealand.
No, the
On
beginning of
Friday,
October. Yes, sorry, pardon me. Yes, yep,
beginning of October.
yep.
If that's the case, are we better off delaying our departure from Fiji until later in October?
Are you getting crew coming in?
Yeah, but they're flexible, so
Okay. So
we we've told
you're
them that,
more likely to get
yeah,
a better window from middle of October onwards.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what I've got you down for is first good weather window after first of October. So
Yeah,
we'll start looking at that point if you guys are flexible.
yeah, we're completely flexible. We don't, but we're quite happy staying in Fiji for a bit longer.
Yes, it's rather nice, isn't it? Tell you what,
Yeah.
I woke up to 6 degrees Celsius this morning.
Lucky you. Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
Bill, you had
Fine.
something. Oh, I'm not getting you, Bill. You're muted. Or you're very quiet.
Hi, this is
Do turn your
Brigitte.
volume up.
Hi, this is Brigitte speaking.
Just one second.
Uh,
Brigitte. Just 1 second. I've got Bill trying to get his computer working. Bill, we'll come back to you in a minute with you when you get your volume up. Sorry, forget to go.
Yeah, hi, this is Brigitte. Thank you very much for the presentation. We are right now in Vanuatu, but going down to New Caledonia, where we want to go to Australia, Bundaberg. And I also have a question regarding the time. It's better to wait until the late of October to go to Australia, or rather look a little bit earlier?
Okay, so a lot of it depends on the weather picture at the time. As I mentioned before, we've got a boat that's just approaching Bundaberg now that's had an absolutely beautiful sail. 15 to 18 knots most of the way, a little bit of a patch going through the Grand Canal at Chesterfield where it was a little bit windier, but generally speaking, very, very good conditions. So that's now. If you're wanting to go, you've got to you really need to start watching for what's happening with the weather now. In fact, I'd recommend that everybody starts really seriously looking at what's happening so that you've got an idea between one and the next. The other thing I would do is if you've got the capability of taking a screenshot, take a screenshot every week and compare it at the end of that week. So take the screenshot a week on for a week out. And then when you get to a week out, compare what you're seeing on your screenshot with what's in the forecast for that particular day. And that will tell you how good the forecasting is and how far out you can trust it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Right, anybody else?
Yes, hello, John. Can you hear me?
Who have I got?
It's Paul.
Oh, Paul, hi.
Unfortunately, we've missed the first 50 odd minutes of your presentation. Will that be available to watch?
It will indeed. So just flick me a quick text on WhatsApp, and I'll flick you through a copy of the link.
Okay, all right, no worries. So we're in Vanuatu, Port Vila, looking to go to Walpura. We'll commence that dialogue with you, as we did coming across from Australia. But what I'm hearing you say is that the better window is likely to be after the first week of
October.
October. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Perfect.
No worries. Thanks very much, John.
Thanks, Paul.
I'll flick you the text now.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks. Okay, guys, I'm running out of time myself now, so thank you very much indeed for all your attendance. Absolutely brilliant, and we'll look forward to touching base with a number of you later on. So if you've got any questions, WhatsApp is down on the bottom of the corner, or if you want to email me at admin@coastalandoffshorecruising.com. I look forward to touching base with you. Thank you, guys. Have a good day.
Thanks, John.
Thanks, John. Bye.
Bye for now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, Sean.
Thanks.